Thank you very much. I'm Chris Carlson. We'll talk about threat hunting and post-breach detection with Qualys IOC. So a lot of people think about Qualys as a vulnerability management company and policy compliance. We actually have a lot more products that we launched last year. A lot of people don't know about it. This is one of our newer products. How many people use Qualys today? Yes, some nods, some people. Good. Thank you very much. Salespeople do not count in the question. So what we like to really say is, how can you, as a security professional, use tools to turn the table on your attackers? So prevention technology must be 100% accurate 100% of the time, and frankly that doesn't happen, so that leads to breaches. So how can you take technology, detection technology, response technology, and actually turn the table on the attackers and force them to be 100% accurate, force them to be 100% stealthy? And that doesn't happen, and that's how you can detect adversaries and threat actors, especially ones that don't use malware. So breaches can happen, and they do happen, and frankly there's been a lot of issues and limitations with antivirus. Difficult to detect multi-stage malware, not really focused on what we call fileless, or malware using PowerShell, Visual Basic using good applications. They are blind to attacks that miss. So if antivirus misses it, they have no visibility after that. And I think the jury is still out on the capabilities of Next-Gen AV, how one could evade Next-Gen AV. And then on top of that, organizations lack the visibility. They lack the visibility to do incident response. They lack the visibility to do threat hunting. And even a simple use case that if you get threat intelligence and someone says, here's a file hash or a TTP, is it running in my network? Has it ever run in my network? And then if there is an incident or a breach, how can you look backward in time? So if you take credit cards and Brian Krebs and Krebs on Security is your threat intel, and he blogs about you, you may want to go in and look and see what really is happening. So Qualys has focused a lot on pre-breach capabilities. Vulnerability management, so you can patch your system so you don't get breached, like with WannaCry, policy compliance. But we launched new applications and capabilities to focus on post-breach. So the end of last year in September, we launched Qualys Indication of Compromise, which is our endpoint detection and response technology. I'll talk about that right now. We launched file integrity monitoring as well. And then we're also working on a passive network analyzer to detect traffic in network, both north, south, and east, west. And that could be interesting, that if there's a printer that's now serving DNS, that could be interesting as well. So for here, we're focused on indication of compromise. And all of this starts with our Qualys Cloud Agent. Our Qualys Cloud Agent ends the fight with IT because it's a single agent that does multiple security functions. So if you're a Qualys customer and you're using vulnerability management, you can just download the agent and use vulnerability management. But it's very easy to add policy compliance, file integrity monitoring, and for the demo, this is my PowerPoint demo, I'll just check on indication of compromise, and now I've been enabled for this module. So when you enable this, it's the same agent that serves all these cases and use cases, so vulnerability management and policy compliance, and you can remove point solutions, you can remove legacy applications, but because we use the Qualys Cloud Platform with the agent only collects metadata off the endpoint. We collect telemetry off the endpoint. So for our indication of compromise, process information, mutex information, registry, file hash, and we push it into the platform to do all the processing, and that's the demo which I'll show you today. Any type of asset, so server, end user machine, because we're cloud hosted, a lot of customers are running this in their cloud instances, so you can get elastic nature from that visibility. And then we serve multiple use cases behind it. So whether you want to do detection or response or ad hoc hunting, if you want to investigate and correlate events, we can do that from a single capability. So how are customers using indication of compromise? It starts from some of the 4 basic use cases. Number 1, and probably the largest, is threat intel verification. They get threat intel from an ISAC, from a CERT, from a threat feed, and they want to verify if that hash or that process or the mutex is inside the environment. But the same capabilities allows you to go into hunting, do ad hoc hunting, red teaming, do finding suspicious activities, suspicious use of PowerShell, and those type of things. And we have out-of-the-box capabilities for that also. If you have a lot of your network security data in a SIM, like your firewalls, your proxies, your secure web gateway, and you want to know that if your system blocked an outbound command and control, you can use our capability of the endpoint to trace back and see what process on what endpoint actually did that outbound communication. And then we developed some of our own behavior models to detect families of malwares and the variants from that. So I'll show you some PowerPoint screenshots and we'll go to a demo. So it's very easy from a threat intel verification. You get a threat feed, there's some file hash, you put it into the platform to search and you get the result right away. So today on the Qualys platform, we're indexing over 2 billion security events every day, and we scale this out in the platform. It's very easy to look at all of your assets and your endpoints and investigate over time. Even if this endpoint has been rebuilt by IT, all the data is stored in the cloud, and you can look backward a week, a month, a quarter, and actually see when patient 0 first hit your environment. Out-of-the-box widgets for US cert advisories, and you can add your own. We have out-of-the-box capabilities, which I'll show you on suspicious processes. PowerShell doing the execution bypassed. PowerShell using obfuscated commands. Processes running from a recycle bin. Antivirus doesn't normally look at the recycle bin, so an adversary puts a process in the recycle bin and runs that from Windows. Service host should not be outside of the Windows directory. So a common dropper would drop service hosts outside the directory, instantiate it, and inject their process. So I'll show you that. But we also let you, through our search language, to create your own searches as well. So one common TTP is using service host without -K. So that's a common way to hide your tactics. Very simple to use our language, and I'll show you as well. Show me a process that's running with service host and does not have -K as an argument. I'll show you how very quickly you can set that up. So let's go into a demo also. And I have my one file hash, which I'm looking for here. So let me just copy this file hash. So maybe I read dark reading, maybe Brian Krebs put this in. I'll come over and pop into our UI. Let me just refresh the browser in case it timed me out. So if you're familiar with Qualys and our Asset View interface, it's the same capabilities. So Elasticsearch, widgets, custom dashboards, trending. In this case, I'm just plotting the activity of the endpoint. So not really a security event, just activity. What are the top elevated usernames, top event activity, top processes, top inbound remote desktop connections. So you can plot all this information. But I showed you that threat intel is the #1 use case. So I come into my hunting tab. In this case, we have over 150,000 events. I'll just quickly paste it in. Hopefully that I'm not infected with this issue. I do a search, and then right away it comes back with something. So even if those endpoints are remote user machines that never connect through a VPN, if they're running Windows instances in Azure, if they're on servers that you don't want to run thick client endpoints, we capture that and we put into a single interface. From here, Firefox installer exe. It's suspicious, let's investigate it. It's only on one occurrence and one host. So right now you can see who was patient 0 and how widely it spread. The timestamp, it's a file object, it was created, here's your installer. We give you file hashes, creation information, property information. So we did not score this as suspicious. We noted that the event happened, we didn't score it. But we give you an easy link to come over to VirusTotal and see what VirusTotal says about it. So in this case here, VirusTotal says that it's actually known good. Oh, one vendor actually, Cylance unfortunately marked this as unsafe. So when next-gen antivirus marks the Firefox installer as unsafe, not really good for business when you can't upgrade your applications. But this really is a safe application. We detected and verified it that it was only on one host, it was known good, and did not spread across your environment. But if we go back to our dashboard and out-of-the-box capabilities, I show you that we have all the APT cert information. We update these as new things come out. We update it with file hashes and TTPs, and you can click in that and drill it. I'll show you the suspicious process usage as well. PowerShell execution bypass. Process should not run from a recycle bin. Java should not have network connections. So these get updated and can send you notifications. I can click into one very easy, see it across all my events, click and drill down. Oops. I don't use a Mac, so when I use 5 fingers, something happens. I think I reboot the machine. See the process arguments. In this case, of course, it's malware.ps1. You can look for PowerShell downloading scripts from the internet. That's really that visibility, that digital video recorder from it. But how can you create your own hunting search and share it in your environment? So I talked about that service host not using that process argument. So I'll say, let me look for a process. Now it drills down using our faceted search. And then the process name is service host, SVC host. and process argument. So what I'm going to do is a positive search case first. So I'm going to look for all of the service hosts that are using the -k argument, and then very quickly it finds 691 across my data, so time series data very quickly. And then I can come in and now do that threat hunting case. Service host that does not have a -k, quick search. In this case, there's nothing in that environment. So I can take this, save this search, service host, no -k. And now I save and I can share it with my other threat hunters, put it on my widget, and that's how you can actually create TTPs, share it, save it, verify, and put it into real-time notification. And the last thing we do is we have our own behavior malware families that we're looking for unknown variants of existing malware families. In this case here, this device has 11 indicators, different time series data of process and registry for this point-of-sale malware. I can very easily click in and then see that there's registry information, there's mutex information, there's file drops. They're trying to use different names from it, so someone who's investigating can think about that. And we all bring this together into a single platform for a single asset. But it's really not just about threat intel and threat verification hunting, because Qualys has all those other applications I told you about, vulnerability management, policy compliance, file integrity monitoring on a single lightweight agent. I can now look at this asset itself and get information from this asset. What operating system, what hardware manufacturer, last user login. This is a demo environment, but you can get geocoding and find out where in the world this asset is actually located. I can see system information, services running, local user accounts. If someone compromised this device and put in a local user account, you can actually go through network information, all the adapters. You can see if someone has a VPN set up to a Tor exit node. Of course, we show the indication of compromise. But if I'm an incident responder and I'm investigating this system that has point-of-sale malware, the number one attack vector are vulnerabilities. So I can very easily look at the vulnerabilities that are on this system. Same agent collects it all and puts it into a single platform. And then if I drill down into the vulnerabilities itself, in this case here, let me just look at the SEV5 vulnerabilities. Microsoft Group Policy Remote Code Execution. So to me, that could be a first place to start investigating how point-of-sale malware got on my system when I have an open remote code execution vulnerability. And that really is widening that scope. So very quick demo to paint a picture of the product. Let me come back to the PowerPoint and just wrap up. And that really shows, by bringing all of that information together, that it's a big show and there's a lot of vendors doing endpoint detection and response. When an investigator is looking at an asset, you may only get the EDR view of it. Suspicious process. Is this file only on this host? But with Qualys, because we bring all that telemetry from the same agent into the one platform, then you can get asset inventory information. What's the OS version, open ports, running services, geolocation? I can get all the vulnerability data. Is Eternal Blue vulnerability on this? Are there privilege escalation vulnerabilities? Are there remote exploits? So if you have a limited team in terms of manpower, maybe tier 1 and tier 2 responders can investigate machines with have a lot of vulnerabilities. And maybe your tier 2 and tier 3 can focus on incident response for machines that have no vulnerabilities. Maybe it is a true 0-day. But you can have a system that's fully patched, but the compliance posture is outrageous. Allow no remote login, now admin login. So maybe someone breached the machine and laterally moved over using the configuration not up to standards. And then if you have file integrity monitoring, you can verify if someone modified key system files. So once again, a single view of the asset from the same scalable cloud agent in the Qualys Cloud Platform. And that's why for us at Qualys, from the cloud apps, it's very easy to add on and try new applications like I mentioned. So vulnerability management, policy compliance, our indication of compromise, file integrity monitoring, and then also we're going to a beta at the end of this year for our patch management module. Same agent patching. So if you think about a life cycle, what are the vulnerabilities? Were there any exploits that get the vulnerabilities? Were there any malware activity on that? Remediate the malware, rebuild the machine, and then patch those vulnerabilities. So that same life cycle as well. So first session in this early morning on the last day. Thank you very much. I can take any questions now. but I know that you're also here for the Qualys goodies that we have.